In 1997, 29-year-old Bobby McCauty captured the world's attention when she announced her extraordinary pregnancy with septuplets, the first of their kind to survive childbirth. As she and her husband, Kenny, prepared for this unprecedented journey, they were about to face the most challenging months of their lives, filled with hope, uncertainty, and the promise of a remarkable new chapter. Bobby and Kenny McCauty were on the brink of an extraordinary adventure, one filled with challenges and obstacles that would test their resilience. Their story is a remarkable testament to hope and determination in the face of the unexpected. Already parents to a daughter named Michaela, the couple yearned for another child. However, conceiving naturally proved difficult, leading them to seek medical assistance. After a series of intensive checks, an ultrasound revealed the astonishing news: not one, but 7 embryos were developing. Kenny vividly recalls the moment the doctor confirmed the presence of 7 babies. Initially, fear gripped the young couple as they processed the overwhelming news. Yet, as time passed, they began to embrace the idea of welcoming septuplets into their lives. The anticipation of the delivery loomed large, especially since Bobby's first pregnancy had been fraught with complications. As her belly expanded at an alarming rate, Bobby often wondered if her body could handle the strain of carrying 6 additional babies. She described the surreal experience of her belly growing so large that, when seated, it reached her knees, accompanied by a web of stretch marks that marked her journey. Amid the physical challenges, another pressing issue emerged: financial strain. Even before the babies arrived, the couple found themselves grappling with mounting expenses. Despite their worries, Bobby and Kenny remained hopeful, praying for brighter days ahead. Just when they thought they could catch a break, the doctors presented Bobby with a daunting dilemma. Given the extraordinary nature of her pregnancy, she faced an increased number of hospital checkups, adding to the stress of an already overwhelming situation. Through it all, the McCauty story became one of resilience, love, and the unbreakable bond of family. At one point, the doctors presented her with an option called selective reduction. In other words, they wanted several children to be born still, as they believed that would give the others a greater chance of survival. Meanwhile, Bobby and Kenny had received a lot of media attention, and soon millions of people had an opinion about their situation. The couple's decision shocked the world. Septuplets had never survived childbirth before, but Kenny and Bobby decided that they wanted to keep all the children. Bobby's instinct told her that she would make it, and she said, "We put it in God's hands and trust Him that it will be all right." Bobby and Kenny received hundreds of letters, but not all of them were positive. For every 10 positive letters the couple received, there was one expressing angry, negative reactions. Some people found such a large family a waste of resources and thought that the family was exploiting media attention. Fortunately, there was also positive news in their lives. With 7 children on the way, the house where Kenny and Bobby lived would be way too small, but they could not get a mortgage for a larger house. A very generous donor gave the family a huge house where they would have plenty of room for 8 children to grow up. They also received a huge number of diapers, an annual supply of macaroni, and a new large car. The tension was already high, but Bobby felt relatively fine until her 28th week when she felt something change. Bobby sensed that it would not be long before she was going to give birth. On November 19, 1997, when Bobby was 30 weeks along, the contractions started. At that time, Bobby had twice the belly circumference of the average pregnant woman. The delivery started 9 weeks before the due date. A team of more than 40 specialists was on hand to help during the delivery, which had been planned to perfection. Everyone was prepared for every scenario. To everyone's surprise, the birth was not chaotic at all, and within 7 minutes, all 7 babies were born. The birth was done via C-section as planned, and no one in the room could keep their eyes dry when it turned out that all 7 babies were alive. Miraculously, all 7 babies survived. There were 4 boys and 3 girls. As expected, they were much smaller than normal babies because they were born so early, but after months of special medical attention, the babies were finally allowed to go home. Incidentally, it was quite a task to come up with 7 names, but luckily Bobby and Kenny managed to choose 7 beautiful names. In order of birth, the children are named Kenny Jr., Alexis, Natalie, Kelsey, Nathan, Brandon, and Joel. After 3 months and 10 days, the babies were allowed to go home, so the family could finally be together forever. Unfortunately, not all the children were completely healthy. 2 of the children, Alexis and Nathan, were born with cerebral palsy, which made it difficult for them to talk and walk. However, all the children were otherwise in perfect health. When the brand new 10-person family had just settled into their new home, they heard that a very famous person wanted to contact them. The family was invited by none other than Oprah Winfrey to come to her show. There, Bobby and Kenny explained how difficult it was to raise so many children, but that they were very happy. They also mentioned how many diapers they used per day. The 7 babies went through 52 diapers and drank 42 bottles daily. Raising the babies was not only enormously time-consuming but also extremely expensive. Fortunately, Bobby and Kenny had come up with a very clever plan. As a family of 10, finances had to be handled smartly. Money does not grow on trees, and they couldn't just borrow it. In the beginning, they received many donations, but those became fewer over time. With 8 growing children, it would become challenging. Bobby and Kenny reveal how much they saved on groceries through smart purchases. Nobody knows exactly how they managed it, but the family only spent around $300 on groceries a month, which was the average for families consisting of only 4 people. As the years passed, they had to come up with more clever strategies. Raising 8 children turned out to be a full-time job. Fortunately, they received help from as many as 35 volunteers who assisted with chores and cleaning. They also started to grow their own vegetables in the garden, which saved money on food. Meanwhile, another famous person wanted to meet the children. At that time, George W. Bush was the President of the United States, and he wanted to meet the Septuplets in person. Partly because of this, the children received a great deal of media attention, and the parents had to make a difficult decision again. Many TV stations wanted to portray the lives of the children, which could have earned the family a significant amount of money. But they decided not to pursue this, and instead raise the children as privately as possible. They did, however, make exceptions for special moments. Bobby and Kenny did not want their children constantly living in front of cameras, but every year, they allowed a TV special to be made for the children's birthday. After a few years, the world received a special update again on the 13th birthday of the 7 siblings. A documentary was made that provided a glimpse into the special lives of these children. For example, they blew out a total of 91 candles for their birthday. In their teenage years, the children experienced many difficulties but also many fun moments. Alexis and Nathan both had disabilities that made it difficult for them to walk independently. However, Nathan did not stop there. He showed tremendous perseverance and, after spinal surgery, taught himself to walk without help. Alexis also began to achieve great things in her life, becoming an example for many girls. Alexis participated in beauty contests for people with disabilities and was named Teen Mystery Made True in 2013. Academically, she ranked in the top 15% of her class. When it came to schooling, Bobby and Kenny made a special choice. In the first few years, they taught the children at home, but as they got older, they decided to send them to school. Something happened that the children had never experienced before. They were separated from each other for the first time in their lives. They ended up in separate classes, made friends on their own, and developed individually. They had taken another big step in their lives. The children then went to middle school and high school, where they developed independently with their own unique characteristics. For example, Alexis loves to study, while Kenny Jr. is known as the class clown. The siblings are incredibly musical and were often seen with the school band, performing on special occasions and having a lot of fun doing so. When they turned 16, this was definitely a milestone that the media wanted to cover. In America, you are allowed to drive when you are 16, so everyone wondered how the siblings would manage this, as their parents could never afford cars for all of them. Therefore, they all had to look for jobs to pay for their own driver's licenses in cars. On November 19, 2015, all 7 children turned 18 and graduated from high school. 4 of them went on to study at a university, while 2 attended another school to continue their studies. But one of the brothers decided to go in a completely different direction. Brandon chose to join the army after high school. He had always had a passion for everything related to the military, so no one was surprised when he enlisted. Now that the children are 21, they are starting to become adults. Kenny Jr. has founded his own company, and Brandon is successful in the army. Alexis is becoming a teacher, while Kelsey and Natalie are completing their studies, just like Joel and Nathan, who are very interested in computer technology. As the children leave the house one by one, we have to change our lifestyle considerably, but we are very proud of how our children grew up, says Bobby. Fortunately, we don't have to cook as much, which makes life a little cheaper. They even decided to pass on the huge house that they had been given to another family who needed more space. How wonderful it is to see that this family grew up so beautifully.